So when I search for guidance from Allah, that how can this be that the Western knowledge is the most important kind of knowledge, and also the Quran is the most important type of knowledge. This cannot be, both cannot be true. Then I was read this book called Orientalism, which came out in the 70s. And this is very important book in shaping my thoughts, because it said that a whole field of knowledge, European description of the East, is Eurocentric. It is actually not true. It is just an expression of the superiority of the West. And basically what he says, the main argument is very simple, that by the early 20th century, Europe controlled 90% of the globe. And so they got a superiority complex. They started to think that we are better than everybody else. And in the East, we acquired an inferiority complex. We started to think that we are inferior. But the goal of life, because the Europeans rejected Christianity as a public religion, so then they made the goal of life pursuit of pleasure, power, and profits. And the knowledge that they created was helpful to achieve these goals. But these are not Islamic goals. So at that point, I decided that and you know what, the book that Edward Said wrote, Orientalism, it discredited an entire field of knowledge. At that time, there were schools of Oriental studies, departments of Oriental studies at most colleges and universities in the USA and UK and Europe. But after Edward Said showed that this was all just prejudice, there was nothing real in this. So then these departments were dismantled and they disappeared, and people who used to call themselves Orientalists, they were specializing in the study of the Orient, they also disappeared. This whole field of study disappeared. So this was very encouraging to me, because I was thinking that lots of ideas of economists are very crazy. And I came to the realization that maybe all of economic theory is also another form of Orientalism. It is just a way of saying that the West is superior to the East, and it doesn't have any real content or substance. So this idea became my goal. I wanted to show that economics, all of economics, is just a fraud. But this was a big task. Economics, all of economics is a very big field. How can I show that it is all wrong? So I decided to take small steps towards a big goal. There is a pedagogical principle very important for us as teachers and students to understand, that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So if you want to master a field, you won't do it all at once. You just take one small step at a time. And also, if something seems difficult, there is nothing that is difficult to learn. The only thing that happens is that you're trying to take too big a step. You're trying to learn too many things at once, too fast, and that's why it is difficult. If you just take one small step at a time, you can make progress. And with just taking one small step, you can master any subject. There is no subject which is difficult. So as teachers, we must increase the confidence. The students are frustrated because they think they cannot understand, because they think they're stupid. It is not true. All students have the capability to learn anything, provided that the subject matter is broken up into small steps which they can understand one step at a time. And there's a special spiritual exercise which you need to do, which is to give thanks to Allah for the small increase in our understanding, because in shakartum la azidannakum. So if we make thanks to Allah for the little bit of understanding that we have, Allah Ta'ala will increase that understanding and reward us with more ilm. So I started my journey with small steps towards the rejection of economics. The first crucial book in this direction was by Paul Byrock, called Economics and World History, Myths and Paradoxes. And in this, he showed that historically, the theory of free trade was created by England after it had 50-year lead on other European countries via industrial revolution. So who's developing this theory? The people who have the most to benefit from it. And then when this free trade theory was applied to Germany and France and other European countries, it led to depression because the English had a great advantage over those. They were ahead in their industrial revolution. They exported their products, and the countries like Germany and France, they could not compete. So German economist Friedrich List developed the theory of infant industry, and he said that we have to protect our economy. We can't allow free trade because we will never develop if we do so. And so his theory was followed, and they protected their industries, and then they were able to compete and become equal to USA. So the lesson is not about free trade. The lesson here is about, when you see an economic theory, you have to look at the historical context. Who developed this theory? Why did they develop it? Whose interests were being served? This is very important. Same is true of statistics. Who invented this theory? Why did they invent it? And what was the advantage? Who gained the advantage from it?